Gentlemen, brothers and sisters, children of all ages, welcome to another day in the life episode from the Old Humble Distilling Company. I am your host, the Old Humble Guy. As you can see, rumors of my demise have been far overblown. I was just a little bit sick. I'm not dead. Just a little bit sick. Regular plain old chest cold that I picked up last weekend when I was camping. We are here at the distillery today. It's quiet because it's cold and nasty outside, and unfortunately, we do our shows outside on the patio in the parking lot area. So with it being cold and rainy and drizzly and nasty, we don't have anybody here. But we are technically open to the public. My bar here behind me is technically available for cocktails and such. But today, since we're open and I'm here, I'm going to be bottling up some whiskey, and my bottling facility is, well, right here. I'm in the bottling facility. I'm in the bar, technically speaking. I'm in the bar. I'm here to answer questions. Ask me anything, literally. I am available to answer questions. I will have my chat with me on my phone while we go over here to our bottler. In fact, I may move the camera. I have the camera here. This is the angle that I have on the camera. It's going to have my back. This is the bottling facility where we'll be at the edge of my table. You see my knife there. You see my knife, the edge of the table, my corker, my bottling machine, my still in the background. I might move the camera to the end of the table. I don't know. This is a pretty good angle. I might keep it this way. We'll see. Anyway, here I go over to bottling, and I will see you in just a moment. It might get noisy because that bottler is not subtle. Be right back. All right, kids. Let's get over here and do some bottling. So here, in fact, I'm going to turn the computer around so I can kind of see what it is that I'm doing. I can see what it is that I'm talking about, rather. I mean, I know what I'm talking about, obviously, because I'm here. But I need to see what it is that y'all see. And, there we are. Hi. All right. Get my tools of operation out of the way. All right, now, time to get going. That is me. You can see me. I can see that my audio looks good. That's good. This is my bottling machine. This is my bottling barrel. In this barrel should be about 15 cases of liquor. Already been filtered 3 times. So before it goes into this barrel right here, you can't see that barrel. Before it goes into that barrel, it gets filtered 3 times. Fine, medium, and coarse, medium, and fine filter to make sure that we get all the particulate matter out from the barrels. And it is cold. The weather app on my phone says it is currently 41 degrees. Y'all see that? 41 degrees in Humble, Texas. It is cold out there. And it's a wet 41 degrees. It's not even like comfortable cold. Light rain forecast is just gross. I hear a car outside too. Maybe we have a visitor. Let me go look real quick. Then we'll get cracking. Nope. Good. I mean, not good, but it means we can get to work and stay working. I do have a space heater, but that's not going to do me much good because this is a very cavernous area. So y'all are just going to have to look at my butt, I think. Make sure it's nice and clean. So our bottles come in these flats that are 15 by 13. 15 bottles by 13 bottles. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And you can do the math on that. That is not a multiple of 12. So we do not get a case count per flat. You can also see we get a bunch of bubbles that come when we start. I think I do need to put the camera right over there. But once the bubbles clear out, the bubbles clear out of the line, we get a nice even flow. I dump these bottles, and then I restart. And you may notice there's no music playing in the background. Usually, most of the time, I don't have any music playing at all. It's just me and my thoughts. Operating here in the distillery. Now that can get scary. All right, and it appears that we are fairly well calibrated. Use a little bit extra juice in there just to level everything off. But that's it. The next 2 steps involve getting the corks on the bottle, hey, cheers to chat. It looks like John Jacobs in chat. I have my phone open. See what's going on here. Looks like John Jacobs has joined us. There we are. Hey, thanks John for dropping the like and lurking. I appreciate it. So what we're doing, since we're open to the public on Saturdays, and it is a nasty, gross day today, I didn't want to not be here in case somebody did decide to show up, and it turns out we did have somebody show up right around 1 o'clock. Because I don't have any music today. I'll have music next week. Next week we have our mini music fest. 19 bands. It's not really a mini anything. It's a big damn festival. The number of bands, food trucks, vendors. It's going to be a big party. I don't know the full lineup yet, but I'm looking forward to finding out what that lineup is. I think he's got like 15 of the 19 bands. 15 of the 19 bands and locked up. I just don't know what they all are. I know 4 of them. I don't know the others. These bottles are a little dusty on top. So here's what happens. In the distillery, I try to keep the bottles covered. You saw when I lifted the cardboard off the top of this. But without fail, dust settles inside the cardboard. So I get a little bit of dust up here on the shoulders of the bottles. Which is why I always do a final inspection before we seal them up. I let all the bubbles settle out of it. And I do a final inspection. Let me check the audio on this. How do we sound? Yeah, y'all can hear me okay. I do a final inspection to make sure that the bottles are clean. Not just on the bottles themselves, but to make sure that nothing's settled inside the necks. The necks are sealed on top. They're covered. So, we don't usually get anything in the bottle. But I always got to make sure that nothing ends up floating in these guys. Because that doesn't look good. It doesn't hurt the flavor. It just doesn't look good. Who's that? Nightbot? Thanks, Nightbot, for always looking out for my people there. And what I'm trying to do is make sure that the level is just above the shoulders of these bottles. And these lines are not precise because it comes out of a main line, then goes into a four-way split. And the four-way split is not perfect. So, some of these bottles are a little bit long on the fill. Some of them are a little bit light on the fill. You know, if we have a little air bubble in the lines, there's a little air bubble in the lines that will affect how much gets into each bottle. Let's see here. These tables, these new tables, will fit more bottles than my old tables would. Who do we got there? New comment. Cheers to chat again. Square table degenerates. Yo, man. Welcome to the party. What that it is. We are bottling the juice today. Because we are open to the public, but we are not busy because the weather sucks. And I am trying, doing a little quality control to make sure that everything is level and even. I've done this before, live. I overfilled every single one of these bottles. In fact, I've done it live with our rye back in November. But I haven't done it in a while, not the bottling at least. Not live. I've done bottling, I just haven't done it live. But these tables, the old tables will fit about 22 cases. These new tables are a little bit wider and they're the same length, they're a little wider. And they will fit 27 cases based on the number of bottles, number of boxes that I was able to stack on the table when I was getting them ready to ship. It appears that I can get 27 cases, which is cool. I can, that means I can produce more in one sitting than I otherwise would have. So I like these new tables already. You have a lot more surface area to work on. The tabletop is smoother, so I can slide my bottles like so. They kind of work as a miniature conveyor belt. Of course, the gold standard, the gold option would be actually having a conveyor belt where I could just have these things moving ever so steadily down to the next station, which would then automatically fill them. You know, all I would do is stack them onto the conveyor belt. The conveyor belt would run it down, and 4 bottles would go under the feeder. So the dropper, so to speak. 4 bottles would get filled, corked, sealed. Because this is one full case, 1, 2, yeah, that's a full case going across there. Then labeled. Then all I would have to do is stand to the end and box them up. That would be the dream, and that is what I'm going to shoot for in the new facility. A proper line, a fully automated line like that. But I don't have the capital to do that just right now, because we are a small operation. Small operation, it still works mostly by hand. But we're growing, working hard. I don't know if y'all can hear me over the machine. Be quiet on it. Can you hear me over the machine? It's like right in line with me, so I wouldn't be surprised if y'all could or could not. So I'm not going to lie, I've been watching the news rather heavily the last 2 days because I've been really out of commission. This head cold has knocked me down pretty hard, but I did get the confirmation from my test. I do not have the Rona. Just a plain old head cold. Just a basic cold that you get from being in the cold air for too long and catching a little bit of a virus. A little bit of sinuses combined with the season. Caught me in the winter. You know, just like we used to get. Plain old garden variety cold. But I've been watching the news. I'm sure most people have. It's hard to avoid the news. What with, despots invading democratic countries and whatnot. It's troublesome. Putin goes and launches this invasion the same day that I'm doing my happy hour, or what was it, Tuesday, Wednesday? I can't remember which happy hour it was. Literally the same time as I'm going live. I know, what was it? Putin interrupts my happy hour. But I've been obsessed over news reports since then, rooting on our Ukrainian brothers, hoping that they stand their ground and maintain their borders. It's encouraging, at least in the first couple of days, seeing these reports that they're holding Kyiv, they're holding territory. Russia hasn't taken any population centers. Russia hasn't been able to hold any territory. They haven't been able to take the capital. They haven't been able to hold territory. They haven't been able to take any population centers. Their offense is not going as planned at all. They were hoping to just kind of sweep over, do the same thing they did, I guess, in Georgia, to just kind of sweep through and take what they want and just impose their will on their neighbors. But they've been, I don't want to say thoroughly rebuffed, but they are getting everything that the Ukrainians can throw at them, and that's encouraging. It was extremely disappointing to see when it happened in Georgia, to basically just see, they had American hardware that just got overrun, and Russians jumping on Humvees. I think that's kind of what they expected this time in Ukraine, but Ukraine is not at all laying down. I think it says a whole lot about our intelligence capabilities today versus what they were back in, what was it, 06, 05, 04? When the Bush administration basically got caught completely off guard from that invasion of Georgia. It happened during the Olympics. Putin was sitting there in the Sochi Olympics, like down the aisle from Bush. The world was made to look like fools. And it was basically the same thing. Two separatist regions. Same game plan, at least. Two separatist regions. Recognize under their independence, but that is not how it went down with Ukraine. Of course, they pretty much controlled those regions that they declared were independent, but when the full-scale attack started, I guess that's the difference with Ukraine. They're trying a full-scale attack, and they didn't do a full-scale attack on Georgia. I'm also going from memory. That's how I remember it. I don't know exactly how it. It's been 18 years, 16 years? Yeah, it must have been 16 years because it was during the Winter Olympics. Or 6. Is that what it would have been? But, very encouraging that our friends in Ukraine are holding the line, keeping the faith, keeping the lights of democracy burning bright, defending their homeland. Very encouraging. I really do hope when all the dust settles, Russia will have paid a tremendous price for their folly. Everything down. A little bit more space on this table. The goal rut today is 10 cases because I've got 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 cases here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I've got 15 cases. 15 cases already fully packed right over here. You can't see them though, can you? Nope, you can't. Take my word for it. So I want to get, ultimately I want to have another 30 cases stacked up, 48 cases total. So today it's 10, then Monday it'll be 10 more, then Tuesday we'll do 10 more. No, not Tuesday, because Tuesday's election day, and on election day I am working the polls here in Harris County at Black Middle School. It's a primary election, and you can vote in any district. You can vote at any polling place in the county. So if you're in Harris County and you want to come say hi to your favorite sin merchant, feel free to come say hi and vote. It's a primary election. It's a primary election, so it's not like it's going to decide who is on the ballot. It's not deciding who's actually winning, but it's a key indicator. You know, because if you have better candidates, you have better elections. At least theoretically. Better candidates, better elections, better followers. That's how it's supposed to be. Mr. Great Shot is in the house. What's up, my man? We have whiskey in Austin, but the rye is on its way. I can assure you that. We loaded up a truck a couple of weeks ago. It'll probably be in stores in March, I hope. I am going to start my road show back up in March. Probably the second week of March. We'll request some dates to start doing tastings again. So I'll be on the road. You'll see me out and about during Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday time slots. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday time slots. Scratching up the table. Huh. It's a good hard coating. I bet that'll bug right out though. It's a good hard. I've shellacked the top of the table, but I'm seeing scratches in this shellac. Huh. That'll buff out. Not worried about it. be able to polish it up. But yeah, I'll be back on the road. I'll be doing tastings starting in mid-March, I want to say. I've got a vacation planned with the family. Doing a little spring break getaway after the music festival. Nothing extravagant. Going camping up in North Texas somewhere. Just a little camp out. I've got to find my, got to do a quality control check. Best part of the job. Absolute best part of the job right here. That's nice. Ah, that's nice. Bottle's a little bit closer to me. Reach so far. Barrel proof the right Chatio. Actually, I'll show you a little picture real quick. Let me see. Over here, if it shows up, can you see it? That tank right there in the middle. That tank right there in the middle. Let me see if I can zoom in on that. Nope, wrong direction. That tank right there in the middle. Can you see the brown indicator there in the middle? That is the volume of barrel-proof rye that I still have. And no, I do not have any plans, specifically, there's my big old head. I do not have any specific plans to make that into a full release. But if you find yourself here in the Humble area, feel free to pop in. I will serve you up. Can we get that good? Yeah. God, I'm fat. I need to get, feel free to pop in. I'll serve you up a bottle or a glass. I'll serve up a whole bottle of it of our barrel proof. I know you got the barrel proof from 21090, didn't you? You were the winner of that barrel proof sample. It relatively smooth for 115 proof, isn't it? Ah, Mr. Great Shot, some of the straight whiskey. Good deal. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. That's right. You found, Great Shot, you found the, I think you found, no, you weren't the one who found the last bottle in the store. That was somebody down at Perry, if I'm not mistaken. You're over in Austin. But, anywho. That's good to hear, Mr. Great Shot. I'm glad if you can make it down here, I will happily host you.
Samantha, Twisted Art Lady, should be making her way down to Houston sometime soon. And I've got a little project for her to entice her to come down here. I've got a bar build that I need to do. And what I think I'm going to do for my bar build is basically just take a couple of my 50-gallon barrels, seal them off, or rather liquid nail the hoops to the. Okay, so the barrel staves hold on the barrel hoops. The barrel staves are the wooden things that go upright. The hoops are the metal things that are hoops. And when the barrel starts to dry out, the staves shrink and the hoops don't stick to the barrel anymore. The hoops hold the staves in their spot, but the staves hold the hoops in their spot because they're swollen with liquid. That's how, it's kind of a belt and jeans type of situation where the jeans hold up the belt, but the belt loops, the belt holds up the jeans, but the belt loops hold the belt in place. That sort of thing. So I need to, so all of my barrels are shrinking, they're drying out. So I need to reattach the hoops to the barrel. And then I need to put a bar top on top of those barrels. And I've got a couple of ideas for bar tops. All of them involve an epoxy pour with acrylic paint. And that is right up Sam's alley. I know she uses the Vogel coat. We've got a countertop pour people here in Houston that I've chatted with. I use the green button instead of the black button, and I spilled a little whiskey. That's not good. That is subpar. Boo! Party foul. Spilled the whiskey. That makes mamas cry all over the state. So the next step after this is going to be putting the plastic covers on the corks. How many cases in are we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll do 3 more cases. I'll do 3 more cases, so we'll have 10 cases ready to go. And I've got a box that is 3, 4, 5. I don't need to worry about filling that box up. I've got a box that's not entirely full. This is also why this liquid that I'm using, the tabletop, the whole tabletop is wet. Also why I needed to have this tabletop sealed, because MDF is a sponge for liquids. That is bad. From what I read, MDF doesn't really perform well even in just humid weather. And welcome to Houston. It's humid all the time. Even on days like today when it's wet, it is humid. Cold is humid. This gross, cold, sticky weather. It's like a wet blanket. Just damn. It's not raining, but it's drizzly. and it's just wet. You know? It's just nasty wet. So this is our rye. It is 95% rye, 10% malted barley. Malted barley being there to help with the conversion of starches to sugars for the fermentation process. 10% or 5% malted barley doesn't bring a lot of flavor to the party by itself. And most of your single malt whiskeys don't really have a lot of malty flavor to them. Malt doesn't. Malted barley has a peculiar flavor to it all by itself, but only when it's a relatively mild flavor compared to corn and rye and things like that. Corn has a strong sweet flavor to it all by itself. Malted barley has a, it's hard to describe it. Because when you have Scotch, which is usually a single malt or blended malt, Scotch, that's where you usually find your heavy malted drink. Yes, I could always use volunteers to work with stuff. It's just hard to coordinate the volunteers with my schedule. I try to keep a schedule for bottling. I'll come back to that in a second. I'll come back to the bottling. I try to keep a schedule for the bottling, but if right now we're kind of in between orders, and there's not this critical need to have everything bottled up and done. Usually, it's a pretty low intensity as far as getting stuff in the bottle. It's not this critical burning type of need to get things done. We can. Right now, I hate to say this, but right now I have more time than work. And I'm trying to change that, working a lot of back channels, things that aren't really visible and seen. And if I get a bunch of volunteers in here to do a lot of work, then we end up getting a lot of work done, and then we don't have to do it again for a long time. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's really good to have people come in, but then I don't have anything for them to do for a few more weeks. And I would like to be able to get it to the point where we start having people in every week, regularly scheduled bottling days, maybe once a month, where we bring in the volunteers once a month, have, one person on the front labels, one person on the back labels, one person bottling, one person corking, one person on the heat gun. One person on the boxing, the final step, and then my job at that point is managing the volunteers and ordering the pizza. And we've done that more than a few times. We've done it several times. And the plan is, of course, to do that, get that once a month, where we have volunteers coming in once a month. And enough work for people to do that I don't have volunteers standing around, because you don't want to have volunteers standing around. They come out to help, you want to put them to work. Take advantage of that free labor, you know what I mean? But yes, to answer the question in a much more succinct manner, yeah, we do volunteer every once in a while. And that information is usually posted out through our website, but also through our Facebook page and other sources. So be a member of the newsletter, subscribe to the Facebook page, Twitter, all the social media stuff. That's the best way that I know to communicate with people who follow us. And if you didn't hear about it, if I communicated it and you didn't hear about it, it's because you're not following us. But chances are, if you are following us and you didn't hear about it, it hasn't happened. And that is more likely to be true, that it just hasn't happened yet. We just haven't gotten there. And I'm expecting this year to see turn a corner and get some 7, 8, 9. This is number 10. This is the last 4 bottles. Whoops. That I'm going to do right now. See, another thing I like about this darker liquor, this is much darker than our straight whiskey. You can see our color difference between our rye and our straight whiskey. The straight whiskey is a very light colored. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? Yeah, it's a very light colored whiskey. The darker whiskey is much more forgiving than straight whiskey. If there's dust bunnies or anything in there, it gets covered up a lot easier. But there's no dust bunnies, but that's a good thing. Never want to have those little baby floaters floating around. I have another 135 bottles down here. Plus, it looks like 135 less 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 135 less 23 is 112. So 157 bottles left on these 2 stacks. That'll be enough to clear out the remainder of my 48 case order that we have coming up. And I also want to clear out some of this. I want to get the rye cleared out so that we can get, so I can clear up the decks for our next batch of straight whiskey and then our next batch of special reserve, because that's the next 2 things coming. I'm trying to get ahead of the next 2 orders. I know that I've got a back order request for our straight whiskey and special reserve. So I need to get that. As soon as I get the supplies in for that, I need to get that knocked out. And then getting our. Then I need to get more bottles. It all comes down to the supplies that we have available, the supplies we can get our hands on. The bottles have been hard to come by, just because I need to get one of those tracking cameras that can track me through the distillery as I walk around. Those would be cool to have. Hey, Ed's in the house too. Ed, cheers, my man. Ed had knee replacement surgery. Well, I hope you're mending well there, Ed. And I'll be happy to have you out next time you're back on your feet. Ed has been a stalwart volunteer for. He even helped us move out of our old facility when we put everything into storage in between facilities. So we moved out of our old facility and into storage unit, and then out of the storage unit and into our new facility here. Ed was quite the all-star. Ed is quite the all-star in helping us move. But yeah, we do volunteer stuff. We rely on volunteer stuff a lot of the time. Usually the volunteers are friends and family. But every once in a while I need an extra couple of hands, and I'll put out an all-call. Anybody who's in the area, anybody who's interested, come on out. If we get enough people. And I'll make sure they go home with a bottle of whiskey. A couple hours, we'll earn you a bottle of whiskey, no problem. And then I'll try to make sure you get, if you're hungry, I'll make sure you leave fed. As long as I'm reminded to eat, I'll make sure everybody else eats. And I'm just reminded of the fact that I have not had lunch myself. So it's what, 4 o'clock almost? I haven't eaten. Sucks. I used to have one person assigned when I was doing events, and their one job was to make sure they could do whatever else they wanted that day, whatever else was needed that day. But their one job was to make sure I ate, because I'll get busy, I'll forget. Surprisingly, I mean, look at this. Like, I forget to eat. But yeah, I actually forget to eat because I get busy and I get occupied. And next thing you know, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon and I'm bitching at everything and everyone. Cranky as hell because I'm just hungry. I'm an insufferable bore when I'm hungry. Somebody just needs to come up and give me a Snickers. I can't tell you how many arguments. My lovely wife's the same way. She is a saint. I love her to death. She is everything. She's actually home, ill, the same chest cold, head cold that I had. And I believe my oldest son caught it too. Not COVID. Again, not COVID. We avoided that this time around. Just a plain old winter cold. But I can't tell you how many arguments between me and my lovely wife have ended with one of us just clamming up, not saying anything, walking into the kitchen while the other one is just raving like a lunatic. The one who's done arguing makes a sandwich, puts it on a plate, slaps it down on the table, and says, "I'm not saying another damn word until you eat this sandwich." And then stomping off into the kitchen to make him or herself their own sandwich. There, more than one occasion, our arguments have ended that way. A granola bar flying across the room, a sandwich being slapped down on the table in front of the other one. Say, "Will you shut up and get in the car so we can go to Whataburger?" Yep. True story. One of the best ways to end an argument is to put food in the other one's mouth. Maybe she'll stop talking if I kiss her. Yeah, sometimes. But, you know, if you occupy your opponent's mouth with food. Good food, usually. I mean, let's not lie. I mean, it's not like you can like feed them Brussels sprouts and they'll shut up. You got to feed them food that's edible and good. Breakfast or lunch? How do you get by with only eating dinner? How do you not have... Ed, I thought you've had some of the rye. Did you come out already for the release party in November? I thought I saw you back then. Or do you have the bottle, you just haven't tried it yet? Is that what's going on? And Mr. Great Shot, how do you get by all damn day long without eating dinner, or with only eating one meal? How on earth? Unless you just drink like protein shakes all day long. Yeah. But yeah, I'll never forget the one time we were arguing and my lovely wife literally hit me in the face with a granola bar. Literally. Across the room. It was a one of those chewy granola bars. We laughed. I mean, it was a great way to break the tension and smack right in the face, granola bar. I've hit her with those chewy fruit bars, the breakfast bars, the chewy. Yeah. Whatever it takes, you know, gotta end the argument, especially when you're both wrong, you're both being assholes. You gotta end the argument somehow. Especially if you can end it laughing. That's a good way to end it. Because you don't want to hit each other with like a knife. You generally want to avoid cutlery when you're in the midst of an argument. Because cutlery is not going to solve the problem unless the argument is about where the knives are. Then, you know, that is the only way to solve the problem. But we have an ongoing argument in our house. Ongoing because it like literally never ends. Ever. And it's one of the things, like, don't get me wrong, it is truly one of the things that I find adorable. Frustrating, but truly adorable about my lovely wife. She uses scissors for her job. She's a teacher. So she uses scissors for her job. And of course, in our butcher block in the kitchen, we have a pair of scissors. You know, like normal people. You have a pair of scissors in your butcher block with all the other knives and stuff that you've got. I got you. Okay, so yeah, I thought you had a bottle of the rye. Okay, that makes sense. Get to work and just don't think to eat. Yeah, I mean, that's basically how I am. Anyway, we never, ever, 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 ever in that butcher block do we have the scissors that belong in the butcher block, because she takes them out, she goes and uses them and leaves them laying around the house. I have a secret pair of scissors that I have in the house, in a secret drawer in the house, so when we need scissors, I have scissors. I have a pair of scissors in the drawer in my desk, in my office. I have a pair of scissors in my tool kit in the garage. None of those scissors are the scissors that belong in the butcher. And now here's the real funny, what I think is the funny part of this. I know where the scissors that go in the butcher block are, because she used them to open up the cat food. And they're sitting on the shelf next to the cat food, because that's where she got them. And that's where I saw them last. Let's see if that helps smooth this stuff out. Nope, did not. So I know where those scissors are. They've been there now for about 3 months. But I'll be damned if I'm going to pick them up and put them back in that butcher block, because I know where they're at. I know where they're at, so they're not lost. But the minute I pick them up and put them back in the butcher block, she's going to use them again, and she's going to put them somewhere, and I'm not going to know where they're at. So if she asks me, I'll tell her where they're at. But she hasn't had to ask me, because she's got other pair of scissors. If she asks me, I'll tell her where they're at, because I think I haven't seen them in a couple of weeks because I haven't looked, but I'm pretty sure that's where they're at. But like I said, I've got scissors where I need scissors, so I don't have to use the ones in the butcher block. She's gotten a pair of scissors, apparently, that she's been using other than those. My boys don't need them apparently because they haven't asked. But that's kind of one of the fun little quirks about my lovely wife. And how I always know she's home and I know where she's been during the day. Because I can walk through the house and close the doors and close the cabinets and turn off the lights. Literally track her path through the house. Of lights left on and doors left open. I love her to death. It's a great thing. It's like little love notes being left to me. Let me know that she's been in the kitchen. I close the cabinet doors, and I love you too, honey. Thanks for leaving it open. Let me know. I'm there for her. I don't always know where she put her car keys after she got home. But usually, I can track her path through the house and find them. So that when she goes looking for them, I can tell her where they're at. They make a great team. They make a great team. She's good for me. Tara Smith's kitchen is in the house. Come on, I'm open as long as I'm here, Tara. Come on, officially we're closed at 4, but if I'm here, you're welcome to come on in. You want to try some of the whiskeys, we're here. Come on, see us. Come on and see us, absolutely. Now, my lovely wife is also allergic to malted barley. She can't drink malted shakes, or malted milkshakes rather. And the malted for milkshake usually just thickens it. It doesn't bring a lot of flavor to the party, but it does have a little bit of flavor with milk. And what I was talking about earlier with whiskeys is the malted barley itself has its own distinct flavor, but it's relatively mild compared to the other grains that it usually gets paired with. And if you have only got 5 or 10% of malted barley in your grain bill, you're not going to have a whole lot of flavor from the malt being brought to the party. So your scotches that have the single malt scotches that have that heavy flavor to them, they're getting almost 100% of that flavor. Almost 100% of that flavor from the barrel and from the peat and the other processes that go into the flavoring of the malt. The malt itself is kind of a neutral palate that gets put onto it. So my 95% rye is practically all rye. You're not tasting hardly any of the malted barley. There's just not a whole lot of flavor from the barley that brought to the party. It's like setting off a street flare to notify a B-52 bomber as it goes, or to signal a B-52 bomber as it's going overhead. They can't see you. There's not enough of a signal. That's not enough of a... That's not enough coming to the party. That's also how you can get this really excellent flavor palette coming into grains, coming into your single malt scotches and your single malt whiskeys. An excellent flavor palette can be introduced when you have such a neutral grain that you're working with. That's one of the reasons why I want to do a single malt whiskey, a single malt straight whiskey if I can, here at the shop, I really would like to experiment with some flavors of wood that we can bring to the party, doing something like a hickory or mesquite, or maybe a mixture like apple wood and pecan wood. Maybe a mixture of grain of woods that we can put with a single malt. It is really dark in here. Or maybe it's just the camera. The camera's just really dark. That's all right. But the malted barley is, the single malt is an interesting creature. Because by itself, if you just taste the liquor from a single malt, there's not really a whole lot to it. There's a Ukrainian vodka that's made from barley. I don't remember the name of it. I wasn't particularly impressed with it. But it was interesting to note the neutrality of the flavor, how little it had in flavor. In some cases you get the vodka that has characteristics from the grains itself, but like Tito's with the corn-based vodka that they make. It's got a little heat in it. It's a little sweet and it's a little hot. I don't know why it's hot. It is to me, in my kind of dry. I guess it's sweet and dry. But then you get the potato vodkas that are kind of thick-bodied, but also neutral in flavor because of potatoes. Take care, Ed. Prop that leg up and take care of yourself. Don't you be overstressing yourself there. Finlandia, made in Finland. Distilled entirely from barley. Ah, there you go. Yeah, I mean, barley is definitely more commonly used. And one of the reasons why barley is commonly used for beer is because it takes hops really well. You can influence the flavor of barley really well because it's got such a neutral palate by itself. Barley is a very neutral grain. Unlike rye, which is loud, boisterous, it just comes with all the damn flavor. Compared to barley, rye is a freight train without any brakes, pulling several oil tanks that are all on fire. Get in there. There we go. Barley would be an electric train, properly positioned on the tracks, completely under control. Which reminds me of the early days of Metro Rail in Houston, where every day there was another story about train hits car. Like, nope, that's not what happens. Train goes on tracks, car hits in front of train, causes accident. That's how it's done. Somebody's running a damn red light on Main Street. Barley would not be that kind of train. jumping off the tracks, chasing cars down Preston Avenue, St. Joseph's Avenue. Terrified drivers swerve left and right, avoiding the train, dodging in between parked cars, taking illegal left turns, going backwards against traffic. As a deranged lunatic train operator chases them down. Giant glistening fangs, dripping blood and oil of its previous victims. Anyway, Barley would not be that trained. It's more of the docile inner city commuter electrics. And I guess Corn would be like the sexy inner city super fast trains in Japan, going 300 miles an hour in between Shinzu and Tokyo. I don't know, Nippon? No, not Nippon. Nagasaki and Tokyo. Those two, Nagasaki and Tokyo are two cities. Yeah, I guess those are probably two stops. Ooh, pecan and applewood and wild cherry. That would be an interesting combo. Oh, interesting. So if I hit the table with the heat gun, where the shellac is kind of... Oh, interesting. I'll show that in a minute. So I have scratches here on the shellac, on my top coat of this table. It looks like if I hit it with the heat gun, it kind of takes the scratches out of the table. But I don't know if that damages the finish or if it's repairing the finish. I can't tell. It's hot, that's for damn sure. I've done so many bottles like this that I've burned through 5 of these guns. True story. You have some high spots. They're like ridges where the top coat wasn't even, like it wasn't smoothed out. Interesting. I also have some scratches that I put in here from these bottles, sliding across the table. Y'all can hear that. Audio on this is terrible. I got to do something about that. Maybe I need to get an epoxy finish would probably see what I've done. What I did on these tables was shellac, which is a great natural seal, obviously. First I did the wood finish, polyurethane finish. It soaked in, gave it a good water resistance. And then I put a top coat of shellac, but I used a brush. I didn't use a roller. So there's some brush strokes in it. I can see it on this angle, I can see it with the light coming off of it. But when I go down flat, you can't really tell. But when I hit it with the heat gun, kind of takes those scratches out. See if I can show a picture. Yeah, okay. So here's the picture. See, let's show this. You'll see that? Can you see that? Not really. Okay, so there's like the little outlines of the bottles there. This here in the middle is where I just hit it with the heat gun. I don't know if you can see that. I can see it. And it kind of took that out. And I'm looking to see if it'll come back. It's wet though. Interesting. It's not wet from the shellac. It's wet from liquor come in the bottles. The wet bottles made it wet. I've never had a shellac tabletop before. No, I probably have, I just didn't know it. I'm not exactly familiar with wood finish and woodworking and furniture stuff. Yeah, I do need a wireless mic, right? Well, yeah, I know shellac will melt. I'm melting it. That's what I'm doing. And I guess that's how I'm taking out the scratches by melting it ever so slightly and letting it refinish almost immediately. It's like not melting all the way, it's melting just a little bit. I'm gonna have to refinish this table at some point, no doubt. But it doesn't have to be a permanent solution. It just has to be a 3 or 4 year solution. And it's distracting me. I need to stop it. So yeah, that's going to be on my list of things to get is a wireless mic that, but also a soundboard, a proper soundboard that plugs into my computer. A sound mixing board rather, that I can have different inputs going into the soundboard. As well as my own microphone, because when I have bands here, it's basically going to be this setup where the band plays to the camera will be set up to the stage, but the stage will be that way, the camera will be over there, and the band's PA will come into my soundboard, and then my soundboard will go to the computer, obviously. I pretty much, it appears, looking at my stats for broadcast, it looks like I've solved, or mostly solved, my tech issues from dropped frames and lagginess and all that crap. Combination of better internet as well as change settings to make it easier for my CPU to process everything, and GPU. Right. Always turn the microphone off when you go to the bathroom. You're right, it is self-leveling. That is so awesome. That is awesome. It's solving my problem. So it's a thick coat. It's just the second and third coatings, they were uneven, that's all. And I really would like that smooth glass-like finish on top, but I'm satisfied with this. It doesn't need to be fully epoxy. We're talking about a 4 foot by 8 foot table. It's a lot of epoxy. It's a heavy epoxy core. I don't need all that. Whoops. I'll save that for my bar top and and sideboards. Yeah, so this little chest cold, this head cold that I've had the last few days is kind of taking me out of commission. I had my happy hour planned for Thursday night. We were going to be running right on the tail of Bourbon Bounty, very close to the tail of Bourbon Bounty. Then we were going to be finishing at 8. We were going to be firing up at 9. But because of that cold, I was not feeling it. I could not answer the call. I rescheduled it to Friday night. But again, Friday night I could not get up off the mat. Just wasn't happening. Friday morning I had my quest for 10K scheduled, or 100K, quest for 100K views. At that show scheduled, but I had to postpone that till Monday, episode 4 of that series. So just a heads up on that series. I've embarked upon a quest. Wow, that is just fascinating to watch that just melt right out in self-level. The cuts and nicks that were caused by the bottle sliding across, just poof, gone. See if I can get a picture of that so you're going to see that. Just like that. See? I don't know if you can see that. You see that? Gone. All the same. It's the same spots. All of them are gone. That's just the coolest thing. Anyway, so the quest for 100,000 views. I could cover it in plexiglass, but I don't want to cover it in plexiglass. That's a whole nother step. I don't want to mess with that. The shellac was fine. The shellac's fine. It's just it was just an uneven coat. That's all. And with the heat gun, I can make it an even coat. It'll be fine. And hell, come summertime, it might self-level itself entirely. It might just melt in the ambient heat of the distillery itself. I don't know if Tara's Kitchen is going to be coming out. It'd be cool if she does. She can say hi. She's on her way. She's passing by on her way to Cleveland, Texas, which is just about an hour up the highway, coming from Huffman, which is about 20 minutes the other direction. Huffman's about 20 minutes east. Cleveland is about an hour north, give or take. But it's 10 after 4. She should be here by now. As long as my car's out front, we're technically open. Even if we are officially closed, we can be technically open. I'm not going to turn anybody away. Unless I'm like legitimately, truly busy in here doing something. That can't be disturbed. And every once in a while that comes up. Come on. That's so cool. It's going to totally distract me. See, the other problem with covering it in plexiglass is it still needs to be sealed because it's MDF. It's particle board, MDF. So if I don't have it, and they're already sealed, both tables are already sealed. It's just that even with particle plexiglass covering it, it still needs to be sealed. If I'm going to seal it, I might as well seal it with something that's watertight. If it's watertight, then I just need the surface to be smooth enough. Because the problem I had with my old tabletop was the top just wasn't smooth. These boards, I didn't build it correctly. It's raining out there. These boards aren't smooth. They're not level. They're not flat. I didn't build it correctly. I didn't square off the edges. I didn't plane the surfaces. I didn't pay attention to the direction of the grains or anything like that. So it's not a good tabletop surface, which is why I swapped it out for the MDF. Swapping out the surface top for the MDF, I mean the MDF is one solid piece that is flat, wide, long. It's a perfect piece of wood. That's what she said. It's a perfect piece of wood and covers the frame perfectly. I can slide the bottles all the way across. I don't have to worry about them tipping or breaking or getting knocked over because the bottom corner got caught by the edge of the wood. And that's the reason I switched over to the MDF to have a smooth tabletop. The plexiglass on top of it would create a barrier on top, especially if I glued it to the top, but it wouldn't create a vapor barrier. It would still collect liquid condensation between the plexiglass and the MDF. Thought I heard a door close outside, or somebody knocking. I can't tell what. Nope. Okay. But I'd have to secure it to the top also. And if I'm securing it with adhesive, well, that same adhesive could be used as the sealant, or brads of some sort, which would defeat the whole purpose. Screwing it down or nailing it down would defeat the purpose of having a smooth surface. But we're good. I've got a good tabletop, and I'm going to have hours of entertainment of smoothing it out and getting the last little bubbles and bumps out. It's gonna be so cool. Last 3 rows. So as I said earlier, it makes an audible clinking sound, but it's not going very fast at all. It's a very very controlled slide. A very controlled slide. But as I mentioned earlier, I've been watching the news the last couple of days with a tremendous amount of consternation and concern with Russia invading Ukraine, cheering on our brothers in Ukraine, hoping that they survive the onslaught and either fight Russia fully back to their borders or it drops into a stalemate. It's very encouraging to see Ukraine giving Russia all kinds of help. And that old lady, they say it was an old grandmother. I couldn't tell how old she was. The total badass move telling that Russian soldier to carry sunflowers in his pocket so that at least sunflowers would grow when he falls dead on their soil. Total boss bitch. I don't know if my grandma would have been that tough, but I imagine she would have been the same situation. Walking right up to some that tink. Walking up to some soldier from some foreign country, looking him in the face, going, "What the hell are you doing here? You're a jackass. Get out of here." Both her sweet southern lilt to her voice. Now y'all be sure to carry these violets in y'all's pockets so we can find out where y'all fell when y'all died. The ghost of Kyiv, the fighter ace, the alleged fighter ace who shot down 6 Russian aircraft over Kyiv. That's kind of cool. I don't know if that's a true story, but it's a pretty cool fucking legend. I hope it's a true story. In fact, I don't even care if it's a true story. It's a good story. All heroes don't have to be real. I'm pretty sure Paul Bunyan wasn't a real guy. At least not as described. Hard to imagine a dude who's that tall. You know what I mean? And an ox that was that big. That she was. Both of my grandmothers were hard as nails, but in different ways. I never knew my great-grandmothers. On my mom's side, we had my grandmother, we called her Money. She was just a sweet lady. But boy, you got on her bad side. She would not hesitate to chew you up one side and down the other. And then bring you some sweet tea and know that you're forgiven. My other grandma, on my dad's side, Mama, she was prickly as an old cactus. But we knew she loved us. Because, you know, she'd fuss at you for being in the kitchen. She'd chase you out of the kitchen with a ladle. She'd look at you cross because you're touching stuff in her kitchen. You get in the cannon room and she'd fuss at you. Don't you go moving stuff around. I know where everything's at. I know what I need. I know where it's at. Don't you go messing with anything. But then she'd sneak you candy when the grown-ups weren't looking. She'd go into the cannon room when we were in there, and she'd fuss at us for touching stuff. And then she'd say, I want to make sure you kids know not to mess with this can right here, because this can is where we keep it, where we preserve the candied fruits. You don't want to be messing with this. This can right here, this one right here, the glass one that's on top of this metal canister. You don't want to mess with this one right here, because this is the one that has all the candied apples and candied berries that we save for later. You understand me, kids? This one right here. And she'd smile and walk off. And we would immediately open up that canister, tear into the candied apples and candied yams. All that good southern candy, the natural stuff. You could buy it in stores, but in stores it was all made out of that leathery sugar crap, the high fructose rolled out sugar. Natural apricot leather is so much better than that store-bought fruit roll-up shit. Oh, that is so cool. Get out of here. There was one day I was making candied watermelon rinds. And I swear I could hear her voice. Ain't nothing that connected with somebody who died 30 years ago. While you're engaging in a art and craft that's been long lost and long forgotten. Of course, we did it wrong and it tasted terrible, but my dad humored me. He took a bite, he smiled, and he said, I think you should probably throw these out. Those are his exact words. He took a bite of it, he smiled, and he said, yeah, I think you should probably throw these out. We did it wrong. But that's all right. The fact is that we did it. Oh yeah, the glass jar. Coffee can on the stove with bacon grease. We still have a coffee can on the stove with bacon grease. All we do is throw the bacon grease out. We don't do anything with that damn bacon grease. I'll never understand. And I know my grandma did stuff with that grease. My grandparents would. They use the old bacon fat, the old meat fat. They'd use that to cook with it. We don't do that. We just throw that shit out. We got Crisco, Pam, butter, actual butter. Let's see here. I want to start with the front label. I need to get a drink of water. Excuse me 1 second while I walk to the back. And I come over here. That tracking camera will come in handy right about now, wouldn't it? Yes, it would, old double guy. It's too dark in here. You can't see anything. You see anything? You can't see anything. Let's see if I can fix this color, this lighting. Do anything? No, not yet. All right, let's see here. Can't do it. Can't do it live. Oh well. Make us eggs with it? Egg sandwich? Oh yeah. See, we cook with our fresh bacon grease, but we've never used the grease. And in fact, it's not a coffee can. Maybe I can maybe I can fix it here. Hang on a second. Full disclosure, it's not a coffee can that we use. It's a spaghetti sauce jar. Configure video. I'm gonna fix the brightness a little bit. Is that better? No, it's still dark as hell. Contrast maybe? Does that help? Brightness. That help any? Helps a little bit. Maybe. Now you can see my beautiful face. Lower this back down. That's helps a little bit. Helped a little bit. It's just the white balance. Nah, it's fine. It's fine. Y'all don't need to see me. The important part is the whiskey. And we're off center just a little bit. Here's my knife. I need my knife. I put it up. I don't know where I put it. Accoutrements. It's probably on camera. Y'all can probably see it. I can't find it. I don't know where my knife is. I need my knife. What did I do with my knife? There it is. Found it on my desk. Okay. Because the label was off center, I need to move it. And I need to kind of recalibrate the machine a little bit. That's a little bit too high. And I have to do this pretty much every time I restart a labeling run. I should maybe move the camera down so you can see what I'm doing. But I'll do that in just a second when I get everything calibrated. Okay, so I need to move the bottles a little bit to the left, just a little bit. I think Tara just showed up from Tara's kitchen. Just a little bit to the left should do it. See if that did the trick. Yeah, there we go. Nice and straight. To have the lighting in here sucks. All right. There we go. I'm satisfied with that. That'll do. All right. I heard a car pull up, but it's back here in the back. Wake up. Let's go angle you down just a little bit. There we go. All right. So the labeling process is just like everything else, very much by hand. It's done very much by hand, one bottle at a time, with patience. I'm not even going to go so far as to say patience and skill, just with patience. And usually, Lisa, our Catwoman, will be in here doing the labels. She does probably about a third of the labels that go on these bottles. Maybe more, because when she's in here, all she's doing is labeling. While when I'm in here, I'll do the whole process from beginning to end. So I may not get as many done in a single day as she does, but I do it more days. You know what I mean? Uh-oh. Had a little traffic jam there on the so I was saying about our quest for 100,000 views. I started talking about that, and then I got sidetracked into something else. I had that update scheduled for... Tara, come around to the other side. Go around to the other side. Go around to the other side of the building. You'll see a little Ford C-Max and a door that says C. The door that says C is our suite. That door is unlocked. Come on in. Type that. The door I thought that was her. She's back here behind me. So this is our back door. And it's in between the two buildings. I don't have a sign out front. Whoops. I'm listening to see if she's moving. Yeah, I can hear her over here now. Good. That's one of the cool things about being out here in the middle of nowhere. You hear literally everything. Everything that happens outside, you can hear it. At least I think I heard her truck. It's hard to tell. It's raining. Something's jammed up in this thing. Come on. All right, better. All right, see, got a little binding there. It didn't work quite right. So I got to pull the label off and reattach. Let me take a quick look out here and see if she's waiting still. Oh, okay. She's not back there. Let me see if she's out here. I thought I heard her come around. Hey, Kara. Hey, how's it
I
going?
want to be on camera.
Oh, okay. Well, you can be on this side.
Okay. I've been out in the rain.
No worries. Okay, Tara's here, but she doesn't want to be on camera, so she's going to stay on this side of the camera.
Where you make everything.
Hmm?
I thought maybe like you had a little storefront kind of thing or something.
We're working on that. We don't have any signage out front, unfortunately, but I'm working on that because we don't have the tasting room open. We're only open on the
Oh, okay.
on Saturday. It was kind of a well-kept secret.
Well, this road wasn't even open for years
I know.
and years and years.
I know. Continental Parkway was technically it's private property. It's a private drive, but it's open to the public now. It's just hard to drive across because of the craters. So avoid those. Would you like a sample of my delicious whiskey?
Sure. I usually drink either scotch or vodka.
Well, time to be converted.
I support local businesses anyway.
Let's start you with our straight whiskey.
Not a whole lot for me, probably.
Of course not. And I'll join you.
So what is this?
This is our straight whiskey. 90% corn, 10% malted barley. Aged 5 years in used bourbon barrels, bottled at 90 proof. And made right here by me using reclaimed rainwater. And it's raining right now, which means our aquifers are being refilled.
Awesome.
Which is good. And then this is our special reserve, which is our straight whiskey that has been reintroduced to barrel and aged a second time in order to give it a deeper, darker flavor.
Okay, yeah.
Well, thank you. And then this one. This is what I'm bottling right now. Our double oak straight rye. 95% rye. 5% malted barley. Aged 2.5 years in full-size barrels.
So this is a process that, I mean, I'm just thinking because I had my own business for many years. I had my own trucks, everything. So just from a business perspective of how much capital you have to get upfront going and how much longer down the road before you see any return on what you've invested.
Yeah, it's like 5 years. It's years.
Yeah.
It's a long, slow, patient process.
I like that.
It's a full-bodied, well-balanced rye.
Yeah, I'm usually drinking like a single malt, double cask kind of scotch or like a carbon filtered sort of vodka.
Sounds like rye would be right up your alley then.
Right. It's like, which grandmother do I want to talk to today? One Scotch Irish, the other Scotch. So, I mean, okay, vodka or Scotch, which one? So, but I don't get to drink very often. It's not like when I was a kid or something, having fun. I'm not off work long enough, and I drive a truck, and I can't even blow a trace. So
I got you.
it's every once in a while. I don't even like going out someplace and drinking. I like sitting at home watching a movie, something like that.
That's the best way to do it, I think.
Glass of whiskey.
Yeah.
Relax.
Most of the time, that's how I do it. I'll sit down at the end of the day, sit down with a glass, watching a movie, and chill out.
I'm too old at this point to go out with everything.
I know what you mean. I can't hang with kids anymore.
Yeah, it's like my kids are club age. No. Yeah, my youngest is 19. It's like,
well,
no.
I can hang with the kids up until about midnight. Then after that, it's like I'm ready to go home, guys. And I can't do it. I can't do it 2 nights in a row.
I can hang with the kids for like a day, and then I'm useless for the rest of the week.
Yeah, I cannot do it 2 nights in a row. I'll give it a shot though. If I'll give it a good old college try. But I know the effects the next day.
And your stuff is at Specs?
We're at Specs, Tennessee to Kingwood. You're going up to Cleveland. We're in the Porter store. But if you want the double rye, you got to get it here because it's not in the stores yet.
How much?
And we've got the straight whiskey and special reserve here too.
How much? Or can you say that on camera?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's $30 for the straight whiskey after tax. $28 for the straight whiskey plus tax.
Can you take a card? Or
Yes, you can. 28 plus tax, 37 plus tax for the special reserve, and 35 plus tax for the double oak.
What's the last one I did?
The double oak, the rye.
Yeah, that's the one I like.
Yep. The only catch is we have a limit of 2 per person per month.
2 per person.
Per month. So
per person, yeah.
you're good to go if you want to. If you want to use a card, I can make that happen.
Is this like all you have right now?
All we have right now are these 3. I've got more bombs. It's just these 3 are all we have right now.
Because that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
I know I want the double oak.
Yeah.
It's like I don't drink bourbon anymore because too many memories of being a teenager and trying to lay in a position that you didn't die.
Yeah.
You know.
The key is to get on your side so that when the world starts to spin, it hits the ground and stops.
Yeah.
I don't know why that works, but it does.
I remember one time we got into my dad's moonshine, and I grew up between Texas and Oklahoma, and there was this one year it actually got down to 20 below in Oklahoma, and I think it was the same here, like that lady died on a front porch in DC or whatever, the whole country. It was in the early 90s, I think, 92, 93. I was in high school, and we're out cutting firewood and everything. So we get into my dad's moonshine.
Uh-oh.
Well, it didn't bother us as long as we were outside and we're working and everything. Oh, it's full. But my dad, he's like the devil soaking the coals or something. You walk in the house, it doesn't matter if you have just a little kerosene heater, you give them a wood stove. The heat hits you. And I walk in, the heat hit me, I hit the floor.
Okay.
Boom.
Yeah, I get that. My worst experience with tequila was having to mow the lawn the next day. It wasn't the actual tequila, it was the next day mowing the lawn. So just a bottle of rye?
Actually, yeah, I think I just a bottle of rye for now.
Okay.
I would get 2, but I just bought a bunch of 44 ammo.
I got you.
It's hard to find. And I'm cold because I just got off the range, and it's cold and it's raining.
All right, so you got a bottle of double oak. There's $37.85. $37.89 is the total. Charge. Good. That worked. Nice. Here we go. Card.
I used to get advertisements for all these card readers and everything. And I'm like, I drive a truck, I don't need all the card readers. But when you have a DBA or anything, you know, the packages of pens they send you, you never have to buy a pen because everyone sends you
I
pens
miss
for
getting
free.
those pens. They stopped coming during
They
the
stopped?
pandemic.
Oh, yeah, because you always got them. They have your business name on them and everything as an advertisement. It's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Every bottle gets signed by the maker before it goes out the door. There you go.
Cool. That's
Nice.
awesome.
What kind of truck?
Um,
Like, is it a hot shot like that truck you have out there, or is it like a full-on rig?
oh, what I do for a living?
Yeah. You say you drive a
18
truck.
wheeler, yeah.
Okay, yeah, cool.
The company I'm with right now, I usually pull a tanker, but they have pneumatics and roll-offs, and so I'll be picking up vac boxes and trash boxes, and hauling bulk chemicals, and they've also got a dry van. I'll pull that. They have a flatbed. I pulled that the other day, but I'm usually pulling either a vac tank or a big bulk tank, and
Gotcha.
it's money. I should have finished my education, but
I had to rent a truck and go down to Laredo to pick up my boxes the other day, and I got stuck on I-10 on the way home. Like this job sucks.
that's my life. Traffic, driving. I think it changes your whole perception of distance.
Oh
you know,
yeah,
it's-
distance and time are completely changed when.
I mean, I drive 700 miles a day, and that's
Yeah.
just normal.
Yeah.
You know,
And-
most people drive to Dallas and they're tired. I drive to Dallas. It's like
Nope.
I don't even need a pee break yet. You know,
Yeah.
I need to go.
You're here. It's time to work. Turn around, go home. I've done that. I've done that round trip too. Done Austin, Houston, San Antonio, Houston, Corpus Christi, Houston. Hell, just the other day, I was at Laredo, back home to Houston, and it's a long day, but it's a yeah. People don't appreciate
The driving. Yeah. I didn't mean to stop you from doing that. It's just
No, you're fine.
your old humble distillery. I live in Huffman. You know.
Go in, absolutely.
So it's like, okay, local business, and I try to use my local gun stores, like the smaller ones, stuff like that.
Mhm.
They're close by. Like I'll use ATS over there for loading things. I use Pigs down there, and where they are. Rather than going to Academy and places like that. I like smaller businesses, but I was a small business
I appreciate
for a long
it. I
time.
absolutely appreciate it.
We used to have an Ace Hardware right over there, but they built the Lowe's, and
Yeah.
everybody talked about it, how sad it was to drive.
There's an Ace Hardware right up here too.
Like another one?
Yeah, right here at Timber Forest and Tassie Road.
Oh, other way. Okay, the one we used to have on 1960.
Oh yeah, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, that's been some years since that was there.
Yeah, that was the one that we used to go to when I was a kid. I remember that one.
Right, yeah, and they talk about, how, well, they're not there anymore, but as they're driving by, going to Lowe's and Walmart and every place else, and
Right.
they're like, Walmart put all these places out of business. No, they didn't. You did.
Yeah, we
You
put
drove
those places
right
out.
past them
Absolutely.
to go to Walmart, so I try to find small businesses
And I appreciate
and as
that.
much money as I can keep locally and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I try to do that.
I appreciate it. I really do.
So,
And a lot of the rest of us do too.
yeah. I parked my last truck 4 years ago. The last repair was $21,000, and it wasn't even an in-frame.
Jesus.
Right after working on the DPF system on it. It wasn't DEF, it was DPF. They found a crack in the filter, so I didn't get my $4,000 core. And that was a $6,000 repair, then followed by that. I'm like, I'm out,
That'll do it.
That's it.
That'll
That's
put
enough.
you down. Yeah.
So I went to work driving somebody else's truck. And to be honest, the first 6 months to a year probably did something for my sanity. Because I didn't have to think.
Yeah, there's no stress.
Right,
Or
all
less
that stress is,
Somebody else's stress.
yeah, it's somebody else's. I just do what I'm told. And you go from, okay, I'm the boss, I'm this, I'm that, I have to do this. Nothing gets done unless I do it. And, I found my own loads. I found everything. I did a lot of my work myself on my truck. And you go from that to, and going and meeting brokers and everything else, just a normal business thing that, now you get the load, you just call up there. You don't have to go on a load board and, hey, that load, does it come out Monday? Oh, yeah, it's yours. They don't even have a load yet.
Yeah.
And you go from that to, okay, go here, here, and here, pick this up, deliver this. Come back, and that's it for the day.
Got it.
No
Yeah.
thought, no nothing.
Coming from corporate world to here, I find the stress to be different, because it was the dealing with things that were out of my control was fine to a certain extent, but there was a whole lot of things that were out of my control.
There's so many
that drove me
variables.
absolutely nuts. That, like, this is not the right way to do this, and it's out of my control. I couldn't do anything about it. But now it is in my control. A lot of the things that are in my control, I can do it. But the things that are out of my control are the things that really can make or break. And it's frustrating because it's just
there are those variables that you have a plan. You have to start with a plan. This is what I'm going to do. X, Y, Z. This should be this much. This should be that much. And along the way, things happen. Just life happens.
Yeah.
This breaks. That breaks.
And you take the plan.
This doesn't come in time. This doesn't do that in time. And then you have to readjust everything. And there's just so many variables. You try to control as much as you can, but there's just so many variables that you can't.
Right.
And that usually is what makes or breaks people.
Yeah.
How they handle that.
Yeah, and it's a real fact of life, and frustrating sometimes.
This is awesome.
I appreciate you coming by.
Personally fine.
I'm glad I was doing the show and you saw us and you wanted to come out and do it.
Well, I wanted to meet you, like I said, just because you're local. I'm in this area.
Well, nice to meet you. I'm Joe.
My name's Tara. Nice to meet you. You've seen my channel. I've seen yours. I've seen yours more recently just because of the chats and stuff that I watch, and a few that I've been on. And they're like, oh, check this guy out. I think I saw you on a few.
Right. Tara Smith, I have seen your channel. Yeah.
I'm not as fancy as you yet, you know, with that thing.
That's just a $12 tripod. That ain't fancy.
This is my channel right here. You know,
that's a secondhand camera. I got it from a friend.
I'm learning how to film. I do some two-way stuff, but it's mostly cooking. And I was gonna cite it in SKS and show how to do that today. And apparently, the last round I fired through it. The back came off the casing. It fired the round, but I guess the extractor did that, and the casing's in there. I have to get that removed.
Oh.
So I'm like, okay, this isn't gonna work. So I shot my 44 for a while. Go home, cook some chicken, but it's mostly cooking with a little 2A and stuff mixed in. And it's one thing to know how to cook. It's another thing to know how to film, which I'm not as good on the filming.
And then it's another thing to know how to edit that film so that it's...
Yeah, knowing how to edit and all that.
That's why I just do live shoots now. I'm like, I'm good at live shoots. I'm going to do live shoots. Screw it. That's why y'all get live shoots. Ha
I'm getting used to talking on camera and stuff like that.
It's a progression of skill.
I can talk to you. I can see you.
Yeah.
I can, there's an amount of reading, you, me, talking, what have you. And it's not there. I didn't even have to use a computer really until 2008, whatever. I entered the workforce in the 90s. And if you had a computer, it was like to clock in at work. And that's the last time you saw one.
Right.
Until I started looking for my own loads and getting on there. And I didn't have to use a computer that long because when I found everyone. And I'm like, well, I already know these people. I know the load coming from here, coming from there. So I already knew who I was calling. So I didn't need the computer anymore. The computer got put up.
Makes sense.
Now you combine those two together, and your brain's kind of split between the two things.
I get
it's
that.
like, I don't want to mess this up, and I don't want to mess this up. And I'm getting better at it a little at a time. Like each video gets a little bit better. It gets a little bit better. But I'm still a little bit awkward with it. What I'm wanting to do is kind of like what you're doing right there with the camera setup, but by my stove where, of course, I grew up watching like Justin Wilson, Julia Child, Frugal Gourmet, that sort of thing. And, they have like, they're live, they're cooking stuff. And I would like to get to the point where the camera is like filming, say I have all the ingredients fixed, and then I cook the meal live,
Right.
or as much as I can live.
Right.
You know? No one's going to sit there and watch me for 2 hours.
You don't want to have to go finding the ingredients.
Right,
and all
right,
that stuff,
right.
and prepping, and have everything done, and then just
Oh, I
combining
thought I
it.
had enough of this. I got to run to the
We're
store.
just assembling at this point. Yeah.
Right, pretty much. And you're throwing it together and what
Right.
have you.
Right.
I want to get to where I can do that, but I need a little bit more equipment and probably get a little bit more comfortable. And
It's a
very
little bit
cool.
more planning ahead of time
Right.
than for my happy hours. My happy hours, I can just kind of crap my way through it.
Mhm.
I mean, I prepare the show ahead of time, but when I sit down to do the show, it's pretty much me and the stuff that I prepared. And, you know, there's not a whole lot of assembly required when it comes time to do the show.
Right.
And even today, when I'm doing this, I'm moving stuff around. I'm going over here and I'm grabbing that. I'm doing this, and
That reminds me of those old machines with the, like you were cutting stuff out and little label machines.
yeah,
Like a scaled down version.
exactly what it is. It's a old label machine, except the labels are already cut.
That is cool.
And Mr. Great Chat says that everybody needs to know how to cook, and he is correct. So.
Yeah, I consider it kind of a prepping thing too, where there's preppers and stuff that I watch, and they got good info, and they order in all these MREs and all that. Number one, MREs are going to get old real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Eating them. Number two, things are going to run out.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone needs to know how to cook.
Know
how to
at least need to know how to
do
heat
something
food up.
simple.
Heat food up and make it edible. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Fry up some meat, throw a little flour in the pan, make some gravy, have some toast, you got SOS right there, just something simple, stick to
Absolutely.
your ribs, that sort of thing. And
Efficient delivery of calories to the system.
right.
That's what you need to know how to do. Tarragon is a luxury in the post-apocalyptic world that you're not going to have to worry about. In fact,
Right.
most people aren't going to have to worry about anything in the post-apocalyptic
They'll be
world
dead.
because most people are going to die.
I'm getting old. I'll probably be dead.
The show I did last week. If your first survival skill is be under 40. If you're over 40, you do not have the survival skills for the post-apocalyptic world because you're going first. Just go out there and try to catch the bomb because it's landing on you.
Right. It's like, my back.
And if they got to
25 years
repopulate the planet, they don't want you. They
Right.
want people who are in the 20s.
Right. It's, it's like all your health issues, everything adding up over the years, and this. Well, maybe I can pass on some info, but I probably won't be here long.
Yeah.
So-
For most of us, we're designed to live in a civilized world. Take away that civilized world, we're not going to make it. I'm probably among that number, and it's fine. I don't want to live in a. I've lived 45 good years in good civilized world. I don't want to have to rough it for the next brutal 15 years of my life and die. I'm good. You're 85 years old. You've lived all your life with air conditioning. You want to live the last 5 without it? Fuck that. Just give me the bomb. I'm done. Screw that.
It's like telling these old people, 95 years old, if you quit smoking and quit drinking, you might live a few more years. Why?
Like, screw you.
For what?
I'm going to enjoy my last 5 years. No more sex.
Like George Burns with a good cigar and a stiff drink and,
Yeah.
somebody less than half his age,
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever.
Like Tyrion Lannister said, and how do you want to die? A belly full of wine? A woman on my cock. You go, Tyrion.
Yeah, well, I'd be dressed better, but literally. Have you been up to Trinity Armory?
Not yet.
It's an awesome range. If you look at my sighting in an AR at 300 video, that's the range that I'm using.
Okay.
And they go out to 450. And
They're out
that's
in
why
Huffman?
here I was trying to.
They're
get
out in
them out.
Huffman?
They're in Cleveland.
Okay.
That's where I was. I went.
Got it. Oh, you're coming back from Cleveland.
Yeah,
too.
I'm coming back from Cleveland.
Gotcha.
Only reason I actually came this way instead of going through Porter that way is I was gonna come say hi because you were on there.
Thanks.
And but no, it's out there. Literally, I'm in the rain. It's raining. I'm
Yeah.
out there.
A little wet.
It is.
A little muddy.
So I'm basically in like my work clothes and
All right.
get all messed up.
Well, get home and get warm.
I'm gonna get to my pickup and get warm.
Good call. I'm gonna finish up work and I'm gonna go home and have dinner.
It's really cool meeting you though.
It is a pleasure meeting you as well. It's an absolute pleasure, and I appreciate you coming out. I really do.
I think I need like a new headset or something like that for like the live streams. Just trying to figure out how to do those.
Well, I don't even use a headset anymore. When I'm streaming, if I have a panel of people, I use headphones. But I don't use a headset. If it's just me, I know what I sound like.
Well, what you're doing right there, kind of similar to what I would be doing because you're moving, but you're in one place and you turn around. And you just use a microphone for that? Or
Yeah, I'm using the camera.
The camera has a mic attached to it. It just. I was debating that versus just getting another headset.
But I can see the levels on the computer, and I know it's picking me up something.
Well, I can see the levels on there. It shows it's picking me up, but then nobody can understand me.
Well, I need a lapel mic is what I need, because I know that it's shitty audio.
Thank you so much. I'll be back.
I'll be here.
Awesome.
Thanks, Tara.
Cool.
Drive safe.
Always.
Thanks again for coming out. All right. Well, that was cool. Yes, Mr. Great Shot. They're not going to. I'm being a good host. Be nice. All right. Time to get back to work because I got dinner to go eat. My dinner's not going to eat itself, although I do have a teenager. Somebody will eat my dinner if I don't eat it. There we go. Perfect. All right. I need to better coordinate my space on this table. Need a little bit more room here to work. All right. That should be fine. Now, labeling generally goes much quicker than bottling. And, oops, front label first. Then bottling, and certainly the sealing process for the bottles. Scoot you guys over just a little bit. Can y'all hear me okay? Yeah, y'all can hear me okay. She didn't want to be on camera because she was coming in from the shooting range and she was wet and a little dirty. But I thought she looked fine. Certainly better than me. But yeah, I should be able to run through these pretty quick. There we go. But the series that I started, I guess it was the 15th. It was the day after Thanksgiving, or Valentine's Day, which is kind of Thanksgiving for lovers. But the series I started, the 100,000 views, the quest for 100,000 views, that silly nonsense. That is basically me. So I'm trying to get more views on the channel, not just more subscribers, more views. Subscribers will come. There's a whole lot of bad advice on YouTube about getting more subscribers and more views and trying to make your channel more successful in general. And here's the issue that I have with my particular channel. We're an entertainment focused channel. We're not a whiskey channel per se. Oh, dang it. I mean, I'm a whiskey maker, but I'm not a whiskey, my content is not whiskey focused. In that I'm not doing whiskey tastings. I'm not doing, I don't do whiskey tastings because I know what my whiskey tastes like. I don't do whiskey games, whiskey events, stuff like that. We'll do tours of the distillery. We'll do events at the distillery and things like that. But we're not really Whiskey Tube, because Whiskey Tube is those guys who do the whiskey taste. We're more of a live, hangout, entertainment type of channel. A variety show type of, brought to you by the Old Humble Distillery. Whiskey adjacent nonsense. Brought to you by the good folks at the Old Humble Distilling Company. We could do literally anything. Movie reviews, cooking shows, cocktail shows. We could do all kinds of stuff. And I don't really want to fall into the whiskey tastings niche, because that's not what we do. And I'm not really interested in doing whiskey tastings of comparing our whiskey to, whomever and whatever, because I don't really compare my whiskey to whomever and whatever. It's a big market. You can like both. You can drink Jim Beam and Woodford Reserve and Jack Daniels and still like Old Humble. There's nothing stopping you from drinking both. Except for good taste, I suppose. See what I did there? That was shade. That was me throwing shade at Wild Turkey and Jim Beam and Jack Daniels. You could drink them too. If you like yourself. But seriously, there's nothing. I don't want to fall into that niche, and we can do game nights, we can do trivia nights, we can basically all the stuff that you would do in a tasting room. We can do all of that. So it's kind of hard to find my niche, because you got to find a niche, right? It was hard to find the thing that we do and the thing that we do well. The thing that I do well as a YouTuber, as a purveyor of YouTube arts. I'm loath to call myself a YouTuber because I'm not really a YouTuber. I'm a guy with a business who has a YouTube channel. There's a difference. There's a big difference. And plus, my goal is not necessarily monetization. Monetization is kind of a secondary aspect to being successful on my channel. So I started this series. Turkey's good, but you'll pass on the rest. Fair enough. Everybody has their taste. I like Woodford myself. My favorite Kentucky factory whiskey is Woodford. So when I make my bourbon, my my benchmark bourbon, when I'm making my bourbon, is Woodford. And in fact, the ideal rye that I was trying to model, not copy, but model, with my rye was Woodford's rye. Their rye is aged 7 or 8 years and quite tasty. So I was trying to model that with my rye. That was a flavor profile that I was looking to come close to as a baseline. Anyway, as a channel, I was looking at the analytics over the last year or so, and we were just about to cross 40,000 views, which we did right at the beginning of February. We crossed 40,000 total views. And I was looking at it, and the source of those views, pretty much everything's come since the beginning of 2020. And really since April of 2020. But most of those views came from 3 videos. About 25,000 of those views came from 3 videos. One relatively viral short that had like 8,500 views. And I say relatively viral because most of my shorts had like 120 views. This one had 8,500. I had a commercial, the video that I have for our channel introduction video, the Ad Twins ad. Get something extraordinary for your bar. Is your bar looking a little ordinary? Well, try something extraordinary. Old Humble Distiller, straight whiskey or special reserve. I need to get that whole introductory video updated to tell people what they can expect from our channel. Anyway, so I was looking back at those videos, and those 3 videos basically. The one short, another short, and that one video. And, looking at what we did over that time, 40,000 views, 15,000 basically in 2 years. And over those 2 years, one other video had like 1,000 views from our happy hour run. Our video with Raptor, he was a gamer. Most of our videos had 20 to 30 views. Some of them had less than that. And I looked to see what we did well, and what we did well was our live happy hour sets. So I wanted to focus on the stuff that we did well and focus on those live happy hours. But the whole point of it is to get more, have a more visible channel, more views on the channel. One, so I could more effectively promote my brand. But 2, so I can more effectively promote my guests. When I have a guest on the show, I don't want them going into the ether and wasting their time and my time. Especially if I'm going to pay a band a couple $100 to come play at the distillery, you don't want them to play for nobody. You want them to play for a damn audience. Whether it's a physical audience or a virtual audience, you want them to play for the damn audience. And ideally, you want them to play for a physical audience. But if I'm going to stream it, if I'm going to take the time to stream it out, I want them to be streamed out to at least somebody. And what I found when I was looking back at the data from 2021 and 2020 and 2021 was basically I was not streaming to anybody. Yeah, Woodford is real good. Their double oak is really good. It really is. But I did not find their double oak to be significantly better than their regular stuff. So the price difference was not worth it for me. So, so I have now embarked on this process of improving my channel, partly through improving my channel management skills, which is basically doing the things on my end before the videos post or before the video is recorded to make sure that the algorithm picks up the video and shows the video to as many people as possible, and then enticing as many people who see that as possible to actually click onto the video. So, improving the algorithm metrics, the front end metrics. The second half of that is related to watch time and, you know, actually making interesting content. And I think the effort of actually getting more people to watch it will give me more interesting content, because I'll think more about not just crapping out some content, but actually considering what makes a good video versus what makes a shitty video. A good live stream versus a bad live stream. Good guests versus bad guests. Oh, we're at the end of the roll. Good guests versus bad guests. Good production caliber versus bad production caliber. You know, all that basic stuff of how to make good videos. Doesn't do any damn good to make a good video if nobody's watching it. But once you start getting people watching it, then you start having an obligation. You start feeling an obligation to actually make you get 1,000 people that want to watch your video. You're like, oh geez, I got to impress 1,000 people. I mean, don't get me wrong. All 6 of you who watch my shows, I appreciate it. And I try to give you the best damn show I can. For all 6 of you. He says as he walks away to go find more labels. But it's like you get up for the big game, you know what I mean? And you have a couple thousand people, your audience of a couple thousand people, it's going to be the Super Bowl every week versus a Little League All-Star game. Y'all know what I mean. You start raising the game up to meet the challenge. I've been trying to make the show better and more engaging and more entertaining every week. Is this the way I want to go? This is the way I want to go. just as a function of the show. But trying to find stuff that's interesting to do and do it in an interesting way, that's a never-ending challenge. Under, over, under, through, over, under. There we go. Looks like it's straight. Anyway, that is how we rethread the labels. I'm probably going to need to do the same thing for the back labels in just a second, so I might as well go get the back labels so I don't have to leave the screen again. It's like we got 10, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cases to go. So we're right about halfway through. And I hooked it up. But three types of shows that were the most popular in the first 200 or so videos that we did was live music from our Memorial Day episode. It was live music from our Memorial Day episode. And happy hours, live streamed happy hours, not the pre-recorded happy hours. Those were not popular at all. Then these, the day in the life episodes, of showing the behind the scenes work that is being done at the distillery. It's a little bit off center. Try one more, see if it's okay, so it needs to go right about there, I think. Thanks, Tara. I appreciate that. I hope you enjoy it. And you can count on your channel finding its way into my live stream over the next few weeks as well. And see, this is also why you see variances. When you see the labels on the shelf next to each other, you'll notice little slight variances. They're not perfectly on, but they're usually consistent between the bottles. Yeah, they're consistently imperfect. And that's kind of That was kind of the goal of getting these label machines, is so that they would not be inconsistently imperfect. When they're inconsistently imperfect, being imperfect is fine. As long as you're consistently imperfect, then nobody notices the imperfections. It's just a characteristic. But if you're inconsistently imperfect, then it's kind of crazy. It keeps distracting you. You know, if you have a beauty mark on your cheek or whatever, you know, or on your lip, like what's her face, Julia Roberts? Is that who I'm thinking of? No, not Julia Roberts, the other one. Maybe I am thinking of Julia Roberts. Anyway, but if that beauty mark keeps moving, well, now it's distracting. Like in the one situation, it's charming, I guess. Whatever. It's a character. It's a characteristic of her beauty and glamour, or whatever. But if it keeps moving, well, now it's just a distraction, and it might be a fly. And you can't not look at it. Keep seeing the damn thing. You keep wondering, you know, is that like a tick? Ugh. And that was the reason we got these that was the main reason I got this label maker. Not so much to have perfection, because perfection is almost impossible to attain. Practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes process. Practice makes progress. Practice makes improvement. Every iteration of something turns it over and makes it better or worse, but different. And you do it again, you do it again, you do it again. Practice makes progress. Practice makes process. So I don't expect to get these to be perfect every time, but I expect them to be consistent. Cindy Crawford, that's the one I was thinking of. Very good. Thank you. Cindy Crawford, that's the leggy redhead that I was thinking of. We used to just call them moles, but now they're beauty marks, I guess. I guess if you look like Cindy Crawford, you can call it whatever you want. It's not your Uncle Jonas's dusty old bottle of rye. No, sir. So I've been a little cut off from the news since I came in here. Do we have any reports from the front? Is Kyiv still standing? Is democracy still alive in Ukraine? Do we know? I think it goes over, under, through, then, over, through, there we go. There we are. Get you up there, boy. I am running out of steam. 'Alright. 4 cases to go. Getting hungry. If anybody wants to DoorDash me some dinner, I'm at 19301 Continental Parkway, Suite C. I appreciate it. I won't even tell my wife. Your secret's safe with me. Loosen this up a little bit. It's binding. Okay. Can't even begin to imagine how surreal it must be to live in a country that's being invaded by a foreign country. You have tanks rolling through the streets of through downtown Houston. Like, how absolutely bizarre and surreal is that? I mean, God bless America. We've never really worried about that particular situation. Even in, the height of the depths of World War II, I guess you would call it the heights, that was never really a practical consideration. We were never under any direct threat of invasion. We haven't been under a direct threat of invasion since the 1800s. That is a huge... I should have warned you not to go on the northbound side of Continental Parkway. You should have stayed on the southbound side, southbound lane, because that is it's kind of a bombed out lane on the far side over there. The incoming lane is a much better lane to be in. And the southbound lane, south of the distillery, going towards the Casita Road, all of those lanes are much better. I should have warned you about that. I didn't think about it. Sorry about that. But yeah, even in the 80s, the movie Red Dawn wasn't, having commercial airliners being hijacked to deliver soldiers to Middle America. That's a little bit preposterous. The Cuban army going through Mexico, it's a little bit preposterous. We were never in any real risk. There's more of a risk of nuclear missiles. I remember as a kid doing the duck and cover drills at school. But we were never really under any real risk, real danger, real consideration of foreign tanks driving down Main Street. That whole concept, that whole idea is preposterous. But can you just imagine waking up, commuting to work. You're driving to work. You're just minding your own business, driving to work, then out of nowhere, out of absolutely nowhere, the car in front of you explodes because it got hit by a drone missile. A sidewinder out of a drone. Could you imagine, driving down the fucking freeway, and just chugging along, 10 miles an hour, whatever it is. We're in Houston, so it's, you're not really moving that fast, 20, 30 miles an hour. Just chugging along, then next thing you know, you see a little flash of fire go right across your windshield, and the car evaporates into smoke and fire and, I mean, what the hell? That's not how we live. We've never had to worry about that. Our way of life is threatened in other ways. But speaking of which, voting is on Tuesday, March 1st here in Texas. Vote if you haven't voted early. Vote in your local primaries. You get to choose your candidates. And to a large extent, the candidates have already been chosen for you. There you go, Tara. You just got a fresh new sub. You get to choose your candidates. And if you don't like the candidates that have been chosen for you, the deadline to file to run, I guess the window to begin your process to run for office opens up as soon as the election ends in November. And you may not be an ideal candidate, but I mean, shit, you can't be any worse than the jack-offs we have now. You never know. Less qualified people have won and become senators of the state of Texas. See what I did there? That's me throwing shade at Ted Cruz without actually mentioning his name. Because I'm better than that. Except I just mentioned his name, so I'm not really better than that. But I would be curious to know how many Ukrainian senators fled to Cancun this last week. Just out of curiosity. Because it's not exactly their job to take up arms against the incoming invader. They're senators, for crying out loud. Just like it wasn't Teddy's job to help his constituents during the freeze that, he helped create because of his shitty policies as Solicitor General and Attorney General here in Texas. But I guess he could call himself tough because when the going got tough, he did get going to another country. Man is an embarrassment to the state. And a clear indication of what gerrymandering can do as we race to the bottom of the political barrel in this state. Because gerrymandering doesn't affect Senate lines, they're statewide. But when you ice out an entire party, you get cuckoos like Gomert and Culberson and Sheila Jackson Lee, a bunch of other lunatics that have no business being elected except they have safe districts on both sides of the aisle. And then you end up with full-on lunatics, absolute lunatics, who they couldn't win a fair election. They couldn't win an honest election because they don't have 50% of the support, but 50% of the population doesn't vote, so it doesn't matter. They don't need 50% of the support. Ooh. This label has a chip in it. Can't let that label go through. It damages the representation on both sides. Well, yeah, I mean, there you go. You are full on in the heart of lunatic cuckoo bird representation. But you see, the thing is, the 51st, oh, there's the rest of that label. There it is. The 51st vote in a 50-vote majority is a brave vote, I guess. You know, you're the one tipping the balance. The 51st vote in a 60-vote majority is not a brave vote. You're not doing anything. You're not tipping the balance. And hell, the 49th vote in a 50-vote majority isn't a particularly brave vote either. You know, because you're not tipping the balance. And you can come out and you can take a bold stand for whatever policy you want to call it. But if that policy has no chance of passing, you know, I stand on principle that we're not going to expand the budget or raise the deficit ceiling, or I stand on principle that we're going to confiscate guns or expand the judiciary or forgive student loans. I stand on principle that we're going to abolish the amendment and blah, blah, blah. Nobody gives a shit about your principle. If the bill's not going to pass, then good for you. It's a meaningless nothing vote. Not going to get anything. But you know what? If you got 51 votes, it's going to get it done. Well, stand up and make it a better fucking bill. Because it's going to pass. And the very least you could do is make it a better bill. I guarantee if you have bills that'll pass with 50 votes, you'll have a lot of those 50 on the one side of the aisle who would not support these shitty bills that need 60 people to pass them. But the good bills that need 60 people to pass them that won't pass because you can't get 41 people to get off their butts and make it pass. God forbid you give the other team a green light and good governance. Guarantee you can peel 20 people off both sides and make shitty bills better. Because there's a whole lot of bills that have no business passing that need 60 votes to pass. And they know they need 60 votes to pass. So they're okay with voting for these shitty bills that are never going to get 60 votes. But if you know it's going to have 51 votes and it's going to pass, well, now you got a whole lot more interest in protecting your interests. Get in there, fight for it, make it better. Some of these cuckoo birds will they'll try and pass their cuckoo bird bills, but most of the reasonable people will be like, you know what, this is cuckoo bird. If it's going to pass, it needs to pass. It needs to pass like more reasonable things in it. But that's all. That's what I think about that. And see, that's, in theory at least, that's what Joe Manchin would have been doing with this Build Back Better plan, except he doesn't have a better alternative. He's just like, no. Just no. And nothing's not a better alternative. It's just no. And that's frustrating. But if we had 5 guys, 10 guys, on the other side of the aisle that were interested in governance, they'd say, you know what, let's do this thing. But they don't have 10 guys on the other side of the aisle who's interested in governance. So you're left with 2 options. The cuckoo bird big bill that they actually tried to change to get him to agree to it. He changed it a lot to get him to agree to it, but he just didn't want it. Which is frustrating in and of itself. All right, well, I got to box these up, but I'm not going to box them up tonight because I also want to make sure if there's anything in here, I want it to settle out so I can do a final inspection before, because there could be particulate trapped that just hasn't settled, and I want to give it a day. I'll box it up tomorrow. Plus, I'm hungry. It's 6 o'clock. It's time to go home. I appreciate you guys hanging with me today. We're going to flip this camera around. As I come over here and I sit down, we had a few dropped frames here. It's okay. I think that had to do with the you can't hear me though.
now? Yeah, now you can hear me. Okay, cool. I fixed it. You couldn't hear me a second ago. But if I put it in studio mode and add the main audio, there we go. Now it'll be updated. And then cut there. Now I'm not muted. Hot damn. Okay. So I've got two different screens with two different audio inputs. Doesn't matter. It's fine. All right. So guys, I appreciate y'all hanging out with me. Cheers and salutations and good night. I'm going to reschedule the happy hour from tonight to Tuesday. We'll do a little whiskey trivia on Tuesday. I'm not going to do a show. I'm probably not going to do a show tonight. I'm going to eat some dinner, watch a movie with the family. Maybe we'll do, no, the whiskey trivia will be rescheduled to next week. We're just not going to do that happy hour. It's fine. But Monday, we've got our update on the 100,000 views for the quest for 100,000 views. It is Saturday night. It's 6 o'clock Saturday night. I mean, I may do a late night hang tonight. Click that notification bell. If you get a notification, we're doing a late night hang. Come and join me. Maybe testing out some equipment, see if we can do the Skype. Our panel call-in live show through Skype. We'll see if we can do that. Maybe not. We'll see. But that's it. Cheers. Good night. Thanks for hanging with me. Till next time. We'll see you on Monday for sure, if not sooner. Peace out.